Hello geeks, I'm Stamatis. Welcome back to Everyday Normal Greek. This time with another tutorial in Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. And I'm going to start this tutorial with this tutorial is about actually a question that has been in my mind, has been like twisting in my brain since I almost started playing the game, and I bet probably you would have the same question as well if you have played the game. And by the way, if you haven't played the game, I would strongly suggest you to try Workers and Resources Soviet Republic, an amazing, really beautiful indie city building game. I also have some videos in my profile you can check about it, gameplay series and a couple of tutorials. Please check about it and give it a try. Wonderful game. So there is a question that has been bugging me since I almost started playing the game, and probably about it has bothered you probably as well. So the question is, did you ever wish that you can go from this into this? Yes guys, I'm talking about building symmetrical, straight roads and city blocks. And it's something that you will tell me, oh my god, that's something that it's almost impossible in this game. Like this game, Workers and Resources, simply doesn't want to build straight. We have seen this in my gameplay series. We have, and probably you have experienced this as well. And it's something that today I'm making this tutorial to explain to you how with some simple tricks you can build as much as possible symmetrical, straight layouts in your cities. And an example of this, simple example of a straight road, you can see right here, like this road which is like perfectly straight with this buildings layout in parallel. Just a simple example, but this of course can be magnified into whole cities with really simple tricks. Of course you will tell me it's beautiful to have these curves, it looks more natural, it looks like more like I don't know, random, not so much imposed. I would say yes, but if it gets too much it can turn a bit ugly, a bit like chaotic. And you know, the human eye, the human brain wants to see some patterns, wants to recognize some patterns, wants to have this more urban, modern urban style of, let's say, you want to make cities that they have rectangles, you have perfect straight roads and stuff and blah blah blah. So like, this is the point of this tutorial. And so to start, before we start building roads, the main difference between this game and other city building games like City Skylines or SimCity, let's say, okay, is that they have a really unique, different graphics engine that is actually developed by the studio that develops the game as well. And this graphics engine has a really different vectoring system on placing down roads, buildings, objects in general in the map. And that difference in the vectoring system is the reason that, for example, when I try to lay down a road, and I want to lay down a road, this game will allow me, this engine will allow me to just put a road 360 wherever I want. And if I just place down a road and try to continue it, it will allow me to make some curves however I want. And it doesn't have this system that, for example, you know, like City Skylines, you know, or SimCity, you just put down a road, you press Shift Control or something like that, you give a combination of like hotkeys, okay, in your keyboard, and you get this pre-vectored, pre-designed like lines in your map which are perfectly aligned, and they're like vertically, like they cross each other to 90 degrees, they're parallel to each other, so your road can automatically, boom, locks to 90 degrees, you know, to this pre-vector line. And then you can build a lot of parallel lines, but simply, you know, just dragging your own, pressing Shift, finding the lock, you know, and just going and going and going. So here, this is not happening. And That's the main reason why I see a lot of people having these like troubles, and they just build maps same like me as well. I have built a lot of maps that they look so random, and in the end they just look like a big mess, a big chaos. They don't have beginning and end. So now that we know why this is happening, I want to show you just some simple tricks how you can build straight, and we will start with roads. So with roads, let's say if you would go to another game, a different game, okay, and you would want to build a rectangle, okay, that is like a really nice rectangle with 90-degree turns. Okay, you would just, intuitively you would just drag the first part of the road like this, then you would go to the edge of the road and you would just drag it like this, right? And then you would continue from the other edge like this, and then you could continue, and you would just connect the two open endings, and you would have a rectangle in the other games. But here, I just get a potato. Okay, so how can we avoid creating those potatoes in our game? And the secret, the simple trick you can use to avoid having potatoes in your game is that you never want to start building to build a road, a rectangular road, from the end of an existing road. So for example, if I have a straight road like this and I want to build a rectangle, I never want to go and start building right from the end of this road to the left or to the right, because this game will always give me a curve. No matter how we'll do it, I will always give a curve. It might be a 90-degree turn in the end, but it will be really open and not this tight 90-degree angle that I want. So we don't want a 90-degree turn, but rather we want 90-degree crossing angle with the road that we have already built in order to make the rectangle. And there it comes the trick. The trick is that you always want to connect to existing parallel or in general existing pieces of road. So you never want to connect to start building after the edge of the road, unless you build something a really long straight road like this one, and you just go like blah 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 blah, like go left, go right. I just want to connect to cities and I don't care. When you start building grids, you always want to connect to existing roads. So you have this piece of straight road here. You're going to create, for the purposes of the rectangle, we're going to create another parallel straight piece of road right here. And by the way, how you can create parallel? In games like City Skylines, you will get, when you have a piece of road ready to be built or built, you will get automatically some proposals, some vectors parallel to the existing piece. We don't have this here. It's not so sophisticated. So a simple trick is to simply put your camera looking above, in bird's eye view, looking above directly with like an angle of like, let's say 90 degrees. To look from above, and from that perspective you want to start dragging your piece of road, and that makes it a bit easier and more clear to see when something is built parallel to an existing piece of road or to an existing construction. Okay, so now that we have these two pieces, now we want to connect. And how do we connect? You don't want to connect from the two edges, because you're going to get curves. You're going to get random curves. So what you want to do is you want to put your cursor, this like red cube here. You wanted to put one level, one step after the end of the road. So you just go from the end of the road and you go a bit, let's say to the right or to the left, depending where is your edge. So you just go to one level after. And from that place, you take the road and you just drag and you connect. And of course, if you want to see the angle, if you want to check the angle, you have to go again, bird's eye view, 90-degree angle, and just see where is the best position to place it. And of course, you see that the engine is still giving us some troubles here. It's not perfect, but there is no way to make it more perfect than this, so you have to choose which will suit you. So for me, this will suit me, and I pop it down and that's it. And of course, I'm going to do the same from the other side. So I'll go from here, I will just drag zoom out a bit and just let it, and just start it a bit from the before the edge. And now I have this, let's say, shape with this like 90-degree corners, and I have these ugly endings. Okay, so simple to this, we're just going to get the demolition tool for the roads or just the bulldozer, and we're just going to remove those endings. And now we have a perfectly 90-degree rectangular-ish shape building block. Okay, of course it's not perfect, as you can see. It may be a bit less than 90 degrees. The turn, it can even be a bit more than 90 degrees, so it can be, you know, 88 to 92 degrees connection. It's never 100% perfect, and also it has, unfortunately, it renders with this missing let's say pieces here in the edges when you remove the road. So it's not perfect, but it will give you this feeling of building something that it is parallel and straight. And of course here you can put buildings, you can start building everything. And of course if you want to extend your street and start from here, these missing pieces are going to fix themselves. Let's try to build from here. So if we build from here, and you will see these pieces fix themselves, but unfortunately it's not perfect. It's just as close to perfect as we can do it. Okay, so if we go to this grid I've already made here, it's here, we can see that I have already created all these parallel and symmetrical shapes around these blocks, and I have positioned some buildings inside, and they have all been created using the same technique, bird's eye view. Try to always connect to parallel, or not parallel, but to existing piece of road, avoiding the edges and trying to give it a look as symmetrical and as straight as possible. So also, I wanted to add to this that, as you can see, sometimes the ground does not do you favors. Okay, you need to terraform, and you will tell me, oh my god, terraforming, you know, like why? Well, unfortunately, this game has pretty strict rules on the slopes that you build your roads, which are more realistic compared to other city building games. So they don't allow you to build really sloppy roads that we can see in other city building games that sometimes turn out to be really fun. You know, you see cars almost climbing vertically. Okay. And my advice to you would be that when you try to build these like straight roads, and whenever you try to build roads, I would suggest you avoid massive terraforming, but rather work with the road. So for example, in this road, I just wanted to build this parallel street from one side to another. But I get this yellow icon that means like that hold right mouse button to flatten the terrain. Instead of doing this automatically and risking destroying everything around it, I'm just simply working with the terrain. I'm just going with the road. I see that till a certain point, let's say till... Okay, actually now it gives green. That's funny. Sometimes it can give green. Okay, but let's say I wanted to build here. Okay, so I see that till a certain point, till here, it was green. So by simply escaping and just zooming in, and if you want, you can use your wireframe to help you out. We'll see that there is a small area here that it's on the red. This means that this area is giving a bit higher slope than the road would accept. So what we can do is really simple. Before building the road, just with the terraform tool, and by zooming in and checking in parallel view, try to determine if we want to go down or up. And here it's obvious that there is this place that suddenly goes up. Okay, there is this bump on the road, so we want to bring this down. So we're going to use the smallest terraforming tool, just a bit, move down the slope and then try again without making big changes. And actually I changed the slope a bit to the left of where I was building the road, so I'm going to change to put down the slope here as well. Just really small changes, you see, not dramatic terraforming. And give it another try. Will it not pass? It's not passing. And again, if we check again when it's yellow, we will see that it gives, if we go to this view, we will see that it gives this higher here. However, here it's green. It gives these higher signs in two areas. One area is here and the other area is here. So I missed that area before. So I'm just going to take again my terraforming tool, try to lower down a bit this area here with just really small adjustments, and then check again. Just really small adjustments and trying again, and as you can see, it's green and really easily. I didn't have to terraform massively, and I didn't have to make everything perfectly flat, but I just had to work a bit with the ground and just make it, and boom, I have my perfectly aligned street. Of course, turn off the wireframe and allow the street to be built. To move now from the roads, we're going to see how to build paths. And of course, I forgot to say that the roads, all the roads, asphalt roads, paved roads, gravel roads, or mud roads have the same, they can be built with the same trick if you want them to be nicely aligned and with 90 degrees angles. So let's go now to footpaths. Footpaths are really important because like you can connect everything in your city and allow your pedestrians to extend their range of reach. And the thing is that you cannot leave buildings, especially residential buildings and like services for your residents, without footpaths. But footpaths can turn really easily into a huge mess, even faster than the roads, because the intuitive reaction, the intuitive thing for a user, for me as well, is to just see where are these like connections in the buildings and simply start adding connections between buildings. And then I say, okay, here it is, you know, and maybe something like that, and like this, you know, and like that. And they just simply blindly start randomly creating connection, which sometimes are inefficient because, you know, the pedestrians cannot move through the buildings. They can start from their building, go to where they want, and then, you know, exit the other building and go back to where they were before. But they cannot pass, you know, if their house is here and they want to the shopping mall, they cannot pass through this building and through this building to go to the shopping mall. So with the footpaths, besides building straight, it is important to know, to plan ahead and know where are the key points in your city, in the area that you try to cover with footpaths, and where will be the main movements of pedestrians using those footpaths. It is really common to see maps that people are building massive footpaths and nobody's using them and they don't demolish them. And I do the same mistake as well. And it's really, you know, it really slows down your progress because it takes you space that you would otherwise use for other buildings, for other stuff that you could build in the same area that the footpaths are. So what I would do, I would say when I want to build footpaths for this area, that there is this shopping mall here and there is this football fields here and all others are residential buildings. So it's normal that my residents want to move in the shopping mall and also to go for recreation in the football fields. So how I would build the footpaths is that I would build a certain number of footpaths that would act like central network. And you see, I try to build it parallel to the road, but it doesn't do me the favor. It's just a bit off to make it look a bit awkward, but it will do. Unfortunately, we cannot do perfectly. And of course, bird's eye view to make sure that it's as straight as it can. We can create this small turn here and go like this. So we created this, and from there we can work. Also, we can create this, which will never be perfectly aligned, but it's here. And now we can work out our connections. That's what we have, this central system of footpaths. Then we can start connecting buildings. And I'm going to connect here. And of course, we don't need like 1,000 connections from each building. Just with a single connection, it could do. Of course, we can add like multiple connections, but it's not necessary. Of course, I'm going to add another footpath here, a connection here and here. So I have this fast lane for those people here. And also I will be able to create a range for the people in the furthest of the apartments. Just some simple footpaths here. And just another one here, as straight as possible. And then we could connect our football field as well. And as you can see, I avoid building from the edges. I always connect stuff to an existing piece of path. So I will first build the path passing through those two football fields, and then I will connect them. Because if I go from the edge, let's say if I want to go from here to here, okay, that's a bit awkward. But we could continue like, I can make a small compromise now and continue like this. So if I would build, you know, like, and if I would do like this and I would do like that, you see, I get this awkward stuff. So I avoid always the edges. You see, and I cannot even build straight, but if I extend this just a bit, then I can build straight. You just have work with the engine, and it's like, let's say, stubbornness sometimes. So now that I connect it, you see people already started flowing and using everything I have actually built. Everything that I have actually built, if we zoom in, is starting to be used. And you see no unused footpaths as well. And with this just minimal building of footpaths, I managed to connect everything. And simple as that, with same technique as the roads, and just by following existing roads as well, it will give you this awkward, sometimes not 100% parallel lines or vertical lines, but it's as best to perfection, to this like parallel building, to this urban perfection as we can get. And the last but not least part in this guide is the building of actual structures, of actual buildings. How you place down buildings on parallel, like that. Like if I zoom out, if I zoom in here, you see that I can build buildings like that, and like that. That they have like these nice like alignments between each other, like 90 degrees. This line of buildings with this building, parallel building here, parallel building, and all aligned here, as you can see, and everything to give this feeling of parallel buildings and aligned between each other. Same with the football fields, as you can see, they have this like really nice alignment between each other. So how do you do this? Because let's say, okay, I want to build a residential building, to add some residential buildings. So I go to my residential buildings, I just take a prefab flat, and I'm just going here. Okay, and then I turn it around with my scroll wheel, and you can see like it's never perfectly aligned. If I use my technique and go up, and by the way, when you have selected a building and you're ready to build it, if you press the shift button and use your scroll wheel, you are able to zoom in and zoom out. Okay, so when you want to build parallel buildings, you do the same technique like with roads. You just go bird's eye view, go zooming out, and just then with your wheels, so shift and scroll wheel forward to zoom in, and shift and scroll wheel back to zoom out. And then you just, with the scroll wheel, you just turn around and you try to find the perfect line. But as you can see, it's a bit not straight. So if you see here, it's almost parallel. But here it's a bit to the left, here it's a bit to the right, here it's a bit to the left, here it's a bit to the right. So it's not quite there. So how you work this out? And it's very simple. By just pressing Control and scroll, you turn the buildings in smaller increments. So when you just simply scroll backwards, you turn left, forward, like backwards the scroll wheel, and forward the scroll wheel, you turn right. But you have this big, you see, bam, 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 really large increments, a lot of degrees of angle change every time. But when you press Control and scroll, then the building is moving in smaller increments. So to see the difference, without control, just scrolling, and with control, you see the difference in speed, how less faster, how slower I turn around the building in smaller increments. And now this allows me to find the perfect parallel spot, which is actually probably here. So I will zoom out with Shift and scroll, and I will check that it's here, and probably it is. And if I zoom out again, I will use my scroll, control and scroll, and then if I zoom out a bit more, I can, with my eyes, just build it parallel to the building in front, create a building probably here to be exactly straight to the street and parallel to the building next to it, and another parallel building on the left side. Somewhere here. Up. Almost there. Somewhere here. Sometimes this labels next to the buildings that they're ready to build can be a bit annoying. However, I can simply turn around and check from the other side. Bird's eye view, checking again, and somewhere here. As you will see now, if I build those buildings, they're not 100% parallel to each other, but they're as close to perfection as they could have been. And as a bonus to this tutorial, one last thing, how you can build really nice curves. So okay, we saw how to build the parallel roads, but what if you want to make a connection between two road endings, but instead of having this like 90-degree angles and really tight turns, you want to have a bit of curve. So let's demolish this part, and let's say I want to have a curve. So how will I build this curve? I could just extend a bit the road here, build a nice curve like here, then continue like this somewhere here just with my eyes, make another awkward curve. It won't work. Maybe I could demolish a bit, start this edge, build another curve like this, and maybe something like that. Not exactly perfect, close to perfection, but not exactly perfect. There is an easier way to do this, and the way to do this is that when you have two edges that they're in the same, let's say, same line, like here, these two roads end up almost in the same line. Again, it's not perfect, we don't have any indications how to be exactly aligned. It's as close as we can with our eyes. Simply, if you just take one piece of road and connect it to each other, allow me to make this also an edge. You will see that the game, when you connect two road edges to each other, the game automatically will create this really nice and aligned curve for you. You may not like it, you may want an extensive curve, which is something that you will have to do by actually making the curve by yourself. But actually, when you don't care so much, but instead of having those 90-degree angles, you want to create like rectangles, but having these curves, the easiest way to do it is just by simply having two edges and then connecting to each other like this. Like, follow your intuition. In this certain case, it's the only case that you can follow your intuition. Start from the edge of the one road and connect it to the edge of the other, and you will get this really nice curvy and symmetrical ending and connection to your street. And that was it, geeks. Thank you very much for being here. It was like this simple tight tutorial about compact and tight tutorial about how to build parallel your cities and creating those really beautiful urban grids of parallel buildings and really nice big straight roads. Of course, it's nice to mix those things with curves, but this is something that I leave up to you and up to your imagination, how you build your cities. So guys, thank you very much for being here with me in another tutorial in Workers and Resources. And if you like this video, please thumbs up. If you want to leave your comments, if you want to leave your critiques, your suggestions, everything about this tutorial, about everything else you want to see in the future about the game, I would love to read all your comments. Please leave them under this video in the comment section and I would love to answer each and one of them. Also, if you want to take notifications, if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. It will show your support. I will appreciate it a lot. And if you press the bell button, you will get notifications in your home screen in YouTube, and also you will receive emails about whenever I upload new videos in my channel. Thank you very much for being here with me in this tutorial, and I was Tamatis. I will see you next time, guys. Bye.